Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream and educational workshop. My name is Santiago Cullingford, and I am here with Southern Caregiver Resource Center. I would like to thank you so much for joining us today and watching this month's live stream, making the most out of your doctor's visit. I am really excited for today's live stream because it's a topic that is very important, and it is very important to be aware of it, especially when we're caring for our loved ones and taking them to their doctor's appointments. Before we start, I would like to briefly tell you all about SCRC. Southern Caregiver Resource Center is the leading provider for free caregiver support services and families caring for frail older adults, and we offer a wide variety of support services that include education, care planning, case management, counseling, respite care, and support groups. Our mission is to help families and communities master the challenges of caregiving and adults with chronic and disabling conditions. And today, I believe that we're having a successful doctor's visit will ultimately make you a more efficient caregiver. The best office visits to the doctor occur when the patient is relaxed and is at ease. Our patients to be nervous, right? So, in order to counter any anxiety prior to your next doctor visit, preparation is key. So, in our next slide, we're going to have learning objectives. So, we're going to learn how to prepare for the doctor's visit. We're going to learn how to maximize your time with the physician, learn how to communicate with the doctor, and also we're going to learn how to help the care receiver, which is the caregiver, during the doctor's visit. What can they do about this doctor's visit and how can they communicate with them? So, let's think back about the last time that you took yourself or your loved ones to a doctor's visit. How was it? Were you prepared? Did you get all the questions you needed answered? How well did you feel? Let's go to the next slide, please. Do you also feel like you have a good relationship with your doctor? Doctor's appointments in general can sometimes be very stressful, but they don't have to be. And you can advocate for your loved one and in this process so you don't have to be stressed. It doesn't have to be a stressful process. Let's talk to the next slide. So, we're going to talk about good doctor-patient relationships. So, in the past, the doctor-patient relationships are really one-directional. The doctor typically takes the lead, and the patient just follows, right? The doctor just talking to you, telling you what's going on, asking the questions, and you're just answering and just sitting in that office, just talking to them. And today, a good patient-doctor relationship is a partnership. So, do you have that partnership with your doctor? In that partnership, there needs to be a lot of patience, and of course communication with that partnership and honesty, and last but not least, there needs to be a lot of open communication with your doctor. You need to be telling your doctor everything that is going on at home, everything that is going on with your health and your loved one's health, and most importantly, just be open about it. Be an open book with your doctor because they're the ones who's going to be able to help you. Next slide. Healthcare team. You're an official partner of your healthcare team, right? So if you don't understand something, you're gonna have to ask your doctor to explain it. Your doctor may use technical terms and may not realize that you are unfamiliar or these terms may be confusing to you unless you say something. You need to speak up. Tell your doctor if something is bothering some major problem in the future. You want to also make sure you let your doctor know if you're unsure about getting a surgery, or maybe you want to hear about different treatment options that the ones that they give you. Maybe the treatment options that the doctor gives you are not the most beneficial to your situation. So you want to make sure you speak up and ask the doctor what other treatment options are there or what other cures are there, right? So taking an active role puts in your care and the responsibility for a good communication in both you and the doctor. And don't forget, always include both the person you care for and yourself when you talk to the doctor. Next question. Next slide, sorry. So, what are some of the challenges that make a doctor's visit difficult? Well, most of the time we have a lot of lack of preparation. We don't prepare when we go to the doctor's office. They just tell us to show up at a certain amount of time and we go and then we just show up. And then we didn't prepare anything. So there's going to be a lot of communication. A lot of the times it's going to be short on time and maybe we're not going to be understanding everything that the doctor is saying. So today we're going to make it easier for you to ask questions and speak up by talking about what we said, preparing for your appointment, and sharing information, and also making decisions with your doctors. Next slide. Most doctors' appointment spends with each patient has been getting shorter in recent years. Decreasing the reimbursement, aka the insurance, have forced physicians to see more patients in less amount of time. So doctors are forced to see more patients in one day, and that will shorten your time with the doctor to 13 to 16 minutes. So data from about 19,000 doctors with different 26 different specialties, they do self-reported data, and they talk that they don't even spend the 15 minutes talking, right? So a lot of insurance, they just seem to pay hospitals and clinics only enough to justify those 15 minutes. So then how did they even justify that, right? So it could get really, really confusing. Today, we're going to make it easier for you to ask questions and speak up by talking to it and being able to make the most out of those 15 minutes that you have with your doctor. Let's do an activity. Next slide. So, from the top of your head, I think this activity, and I'll explain why this activity is important in the next slide, but this activity is really important because it's gonna show how much of your memory you can recall from just one day before. So, in your mind, see if you can list everything that you ate or drank yesterday, including the approximate portions that you use in your plate. To show how hard it can be to remember every detail and why it's important to write down information and questions before your doctor's visit. Top of your head, can you remember everything that you ate or drank and the portions appropriately that you had yesterday? Did you realize that you forgot one thing sharing with your partner, or maybe you forgot one thing sharing with your doctor, right? Maybe a piece of candy or a glass of water that you drank with your pills. Maybe you forgot to mention that. So it's really, really important to prepare and write down these things before your doctor's visit, either way, so that way the doctor can have a most efficient knowledge of what is going on with your daily diet, daily routine, and even your pill intake, your daily routine that could affect your health. So the doctor needs to know every detail that you can provide them. This is why this activity is really important. That way it shows you how difficult it is to recall these really specific details. So every health issue that you've had since your last visit, concerns that you want to discuss, what medications you take and their dosages. What over-the-counter medications have you been taking? Have you been taking Tylenol? Have you been taking Advils? Have you been taking maybe sometimes for the acidity? Things like this that you need to recall to be able to tell the doctor. You might feel under pressure to try to fit everything in such a short amount of time, right? We said there was only 15 minutes, but you have with your doctor, and it's easy to that you might overlook something important. So that's why we need to prepare for your visit. Next slide. So, preparing for your visit, right? So, by being prepared, by jotting down, by making a list of our concerns, sharing all the updates with the doctors, and taking all the necessary documents, then we might be able to have an advantage on that 15-minute time. We are so unprepared, and now if we take all these necessary items, we'll be prepared. Let's talk to the next slide. The medicines and dietary supplements to the person that you're taking it, either you, the caregiver, or the one that you're taking care of, and both prescription and over the counter, and include dosages and schedule. If he or she sees different doctors, because maybe we're not only seeing one doctor, maybe we're seeing a cardiologist, maybe we're seeing an ENT, maybe we're seeing a doctor for your bones, or maybe a psychologist, right? A lot of other doctors, maybe. So you need to have all these things written down so all doctors can be aware of your daily routine with your medication and any other things that might affect um, the disease that we're going to the doctor for. Next slide. Other things. So we want to make sure that you're gathering information, right? Name some phone numbers of any other doctors you see, even if you don't see them regularly. Doctors need to know what other doctors in their healthcare systems they're talking to. So that way the doctor can be aware that you're going with an ENT or a cardiologist. So you want to make sure that you also bring things like insurance cards, very, very important, right? We need to pay for it, right? So if this is your first time with a new doctor, you need to bring medical records and additional files, charts, test results, or other information from your former doctors, right? You might need to call the office of the doctor to ask for those medical records. A lot of the times they don't give us those medical records, but they send them to that doctor via fax or via email. So you want to make sure that your old doctor is aware of who your new doctor is, and they can send all that information. So that all that medical history is transferred to the new doctor, as well as a dosage and medication schedule. Next slide. So when I say that you need to make a list of all your medications, these are some of the things that need to be included in that list. Herbal supplements. A lot of the times we do not consider herbal supplements as medicine, but remember that a lot of the medicine is based on natural herbal chemicals. So if there's something already in that medication or that has some kind of herb or kind of chemical that you're taking it might have a positive or negative effect with other medication that you might be taking. So that's why it's important to let the doctors know. A lot of Eastern medicine contains a lot of herbs that might have an issue with our Western medicine. So vitamins, maybe you're thinking that you're doing great by taking all the calcium or vitamin C, but maybe it's not so helpful given though that you're taking this other medication that your doctor recommended. Eye drops. We forget eye drops, right? Eye drops is a medication. We're putting those in our eyes and those go in our system. A lot of the times it's really important to mention eye drops. Laxatives. Maybe you're constipated and you're taking a over the counter laxative and all of a sudden you're having gastrointestinal problems, right? So if you mention this to the doctor, maybe they can make a professional assumption of what is it that is going on. Share as every detail possible as you can with your doctor and make a list of all prescriptions. Include over the counter, herbal supplements, vitamins, eye drops, and laxatives. These are very, very important things to consider when sharing the medication list. Next slide, please. So you prepare to your appointment by making a list of your concerns in order of importance to you, writing down your medications, and noting all the changes in your health since your last visit. Wearing your glasses, wearing your hearing aids as needed, and maybe even practicing something that you want to discuss with your doctor. So think of what you'll need to see, hear, and communicate during your visit. So maybe your glasses are not as useful as they used to be. Maybe you need to communicate to your doctor that your glasses need a replacement. Or maybe also it's really good idea to consider bringing a family member or friend. That way, maybe they'll catch something that you missed, or maybe they'll help you understand if English isn't your native language, or if the language of that doctor it might be a little hard to understand. Maybe he might have a little bit of an accent, and that family friend might be able to help you understand what the doctor is saying. So, and then if you don't have a family or friend that is possible, maybe ask your doctor for an interpreter if you really need one. Next slide. Some things to consider setting up an appointment. So, a lot of the times in this new technology era, setting up an appointment is really easy and you can do it through the app of your phone or via a phone call. A lot of the times it's really, really important to set up reminders so that way we can remember to be on the doctor's appointment on time and be able to prepare all the documents and all the lists that we said before, right? So, describe to the receptionist why is it that you want to see the doctor in detail. Really important that you explain to them in detail so that way they can allocate a longer amount of time if you need it. A lot of the times they're going to only give you 10 to 15 minutes. But if you tell the receptionist that you need a longer time with the doctor, maybe you need 30 minutes, or maybe you want a procedure done. So make sure you communicate that to the receptionist. That way they can allocate a longer time with the doctor with you. The doctor we might need to reschedule, but it's really important to have that time, right? So, and very important, be early and on time to your appointments. I like to be 15 minutes early to my appointments. That way, even the doctor can get you in earlier and you can get out more earlier than you expected. Or maybe you need to fill out some paperwork, and that way you can use those 15 minutes to fill out those paperworks. We want to share concerns with your doctor, right? So it is very helpful that we are very specific and clear, remember, and we don't have a lot of time that we don't want to waste our time with our doctor. Next slide, please. So we don't want to be doing a guessing game for them. So we want to help them as much as possible to have an accurate diagnosis. So we want to make sure that you read the questions, right? So maybe it's helpful for you to create a log, a spreadsheet, or a record book for the doctor to have some visuals. For example, maybe I don't know if I'm taking a nap makes me feel better or makes me feel worse. It's really good to note down the times that you're going to sleep and the times that you're waking up. And maybe write down the symptoms that are going through it. Maybe if you're having dizziness and you're thinking that a nap might help you out, write that down, the times that you took a nap and if it helped or if it did not help. The point is that I'm trying to make here is to be honest and sincere as possible. If you're going to the doctor, you don't want to self-medicate or regulate what's happening. You are there because you're concerned about something, so you want to make sure that you share those concerns with the doctor so the doctor can understand that. You want to make sure that you're clear and concise, and examples. You want to make sure that you list all the examples and the symptoms that you're going through, like pain, fever, a lump or a bump that you haven't noticed there before, unexplained weight loss or gain, feeling depressed or sad all the time, problems sleeping, anything that you've noticed that is different from the last time that you came to the doctor, really, really important to mention. It might not be a big deal, and the doctor might tell you that it's nothing to worry about, or they might tell you that it's something to worry about. So it's really, really important to communicate all the new symptoms and new things that you've noticed. Don't assume your symptoms like pain or fatigue are normal part of aging, right? It's really important to share these things. Next slide. So now you've learned how to maximize your appointment time. First and foremost is be honest, right? Decide which questions are important and which questions are not important. A lot of the times we're making questions that might be taking a lot of time for the doctor because we only have those 15 minutes, remember? So we want to make sure that we're sticking to the point and deciding which questions are important. And last but not least, we want to assess the visit. After we're done with the doctor's visit, what does assessing the visit mean? It means that what was the goal of that visit? What did we gain from going to the doctor's appointment? So remember that you are your best advocate, and what is important is to find out about either if you have a disease that needs new treatment, is find out about new treatment, right? Assessing the visit, asking the doctor what is it that we can expect from the next visit as well. So make decisions with your doctor. Next slide, please. So ask about different treatments, right? Are there any risk associated with the treatments? How soon should the treatment start? How long will it start? Are there any other treatments available? How much will the treatment cost? Will my insurance cover it? These are essential questions that you should be asking to the doctor, right? A lot of the times the doctors are aware of the price of the treatments, and they usually don't share it because they might be afraid of losing money. So it's really, really important for you to be asking the price cost and if your insurance is going to cover it. Ask about preventions as well. Maybe your family has a line of Alzheimer's, so we want to make sure that you're asking about prevention. Is there any way to prevent a condition that runs in my family before it affects me, right? Are there any ways to keep my condition from getting worse? How will making a change in my habits help me, right? Are there any risk of making a change? Are there any support groups or community services that might help me? Right? So it's really important to ask these other external questions to the doctor. That way we can have a good sense of prevention towards a disease. Next slide. We want to take as much information as we can from the doctor, right? So we want to learn about our medical tests. Why are the tests being done? What are the steps of this test involved? Is it as simple as just taking some blood, or is it more complicated and it has to be a whole study, right? Discuss the diagnosis and expectations. What may happen? Why might have caused this condition, right? Why am I feeling sick? Why might I have caused it? How, is it going to be permanent? Is it going to be temporary? How is my condition treated or managed? And also, we want to make sure that we want to find out about new medication. Technology and science is a godsend. So we want to make sure that we know that every day there's going to be new technology and every day is going to be new science that happens. So we want to make sure that we know the common side effects and what should I be paying attention to. When will the medicine begin to work? A lot of the medicine doesn't start to work after 1 to 2 weeks after you start taking it, and it might feel like nothing's happening, right? So it's really important to note these type of things. What should I do if I miss a dosage? Should I take it with meals or without meals? Should I take it in the morning? Should I take it at night? Most of these things, the pharmacist will be able to help you out, but it's also really important to ask the doctor. They will also know the answers for this. Next slide. So, this strategy. Last but not least, we want to make sure that we are repeating what the doctor said in our own words. Have you noticed that when you tell a doctor something, he or she repeats it back to you to make sure that you understand that everything what happened correctly? That's a great opportunity for you to correct your doctor if he or she has gotten something wrong. You can do the same things. After the doctor tells you something like your diagnosis or your treatment, make sure you repeat it back to them. Use this example. So what you're saying is blah 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 blah. Basically, you're repeating what the doctor just said to you, and then say, "Did I get that right?" And the doctor will simply say yes or no, and then they'll clarify it. So it's really, really important for you to understand what just happened and repeat it in your own words. It might sound annoying and it might sound repetitive, but that way you'll get a clear understanding of the situation that's going on. Next slide. So last but not least, we're going to talk about next steps, right? So first and foremost, we want to plan ahead. So hopefully you guys we're able to understand that we want to make sure we plan ahead before our doctor's visit. Become knowledgeable about the situation. If you're going to a doctor's visit, to a recurrent visit that you've been going through maybe once a month, you want to make sure that you become knowledgeable about the diagnosis or the treatment options. Look for community resources. Maybe the doctor will be able to help you out, but maybe there's a community group or a community resource that has an organization that focuses on that treatment or that diagnosis. Like, for example, Southern Caregiver Resource Center, where we specialize in Alzheimer's and dementia care. Really, really important to know your community resources. Ask for help and accept help, right? Really, really important. You don't go through this alone. You want to make sure that you have your family or your friends with you so you can get as much help as possible. And last but not least, seek professional support, right? A lot of support groups can be professionally facilitated. So it's really, really important to keep those in mind. Next slide, please. Now, I would like to take some time to talk about Southern Caregiver Resource Center. Southern Caregiver Resource Center, our motto is caring for those who care for others. We offer support services for the family caregivers. Some of the support services that we offer, as I said in the beginning of the slides, is education and training. We have short-term counseling. We have support groups that are professionally facilitated. We have a lot of specialized information found online and in books and resources in our offices. We have what is called the Alzheimer's Care Program, case management, employer resources, and legal and financial consultation. We are a nonprofit organization that offers our services at low cost or for free, depending on everyone's situation. Next slide, please. The best way to contact us is through our website. Visit www.caregivercenter.org through our iCare portal, and you can find things like our Caregiver Corner, where you can watch quick 1-minute videos on different aspects of being a caregiver. You could also listen to our podcast, which we release the last day of the month, every month. So where we talk about Let's Talk Caregiving, and the podcast is by our vice president and our CEO that are talking about different caregiving aspects of your everyday life. We also have our family caregiver classes that are found online and our digital newsletter. You can sign up to the digital newsletter by putting on your email at the bottom of the webpage. Last slide. All right. So again, the best way to access our information is www.caregivercenter.org, or you could call us at the free line at 800-827-1008, or our regular office number 858-268-4432. For more information or access to Chevrolet, please visit us online and our phone numbers. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for showing up in this live stream. I hope you have a good day. Bye bye.